I had a thought this year for the first time here at Bar Herzl, Mount Herzl, visiting our son who's just been overseas, and we try and come often to just be close to our son Daniel at his grave, still praying that his body will return. He's the only one here in the new section of Mount Herzl who has a grave, but the body is not there, just some of his blood which was buried, and we hope and pray for his and all the hostages' speedy return. But I was thinking today in Mount Herzl for the first time as we prepare for Lag BaOmer and Shabbat, around 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva died, and that's why we today for so long have been mourning their loss in the time of the Omer. It's a similar amount of Israeli soldiers and civilians who were killed in the wars and in the terror attacks, around 25,000. What caused the death of Rabbi Akiva's students? It's not clear. The Talmud says it was a plague called askara, perhaps diphtheria. But Rav Shrera Gaon incredibly says it wasn't a plague. They died in shmad, in religious persecution. And as Rav Goren explains, previous chief rabbi of Israel, the only religious persecution at the time of Rabbi Akiva and his students was the battle of Bar Kochba. And therefore it seems, as we know, that not only is that true historically, but Rabbi Akiva was the greatest rabbinic supporter of the Bar Kokhba rebellion to return Jewish sovereignty to the land and rebuild Jerusalem. So it says Rav Goren, it seems that the students of Rabbi Akiva, Kunter Rav Shrera Gaon, died in the battle for Beit HaMikdash, the battle of Bar Kokhba. So therefore they were not only students, they were soldiers fighting the battle of Bar Kokhba. But you know what is incredible about this is that many people don't know, it's not the Churban Beit HaMikdash which took place 65 years before, which led to the majority of Jews leaving the land of Israel. It was actually the fall and the failure of the Bar Kokhba rebellion, because you see, says Josephus, there were still 59 major cities, walled cities with hundreds of thousands of Jews living in the land. Yes, many were exiled to Rome, but the Jewish people remained, many of them, many hundreds of thousands, in the land of Israel. But once the rebellion failed, and Hadrian, the emperor, had enough and said, you know what, I need to sever the ties of this rebellious people from their land, and therefore he changed the name of Judea to Palestina, Palestine today, to sever the connection between the Jewish people and their land of Judea. And indeed, we still suffer from this today, the whole issue around Palestine and the land of Israel and Judea. But this is the message that I want to share. You see, what ushered in the ultimate exile after the destruction of the temple, where Jews were dispersed around the world, was the fall of Bar Kokhba and Beit HaMikdash in the year 135 CE, around 24,000 students of Rabbi Akiva. But what has facilitated the return, those 25,000, including our son, which have fallen, and through their self-sacrifice and the Zionist movement and the establishment of the State of Israel, millions and millions of Jews have returned, not only the hundreds of thousands then from the time of Rabbi Akiva, but 7 million Jews today beyond that live in the land of Israel. And I want to say in conclusion, we are now redeeming the month of Iyar. You see, Iyar is exactly not what it was supposed to be in the times of the Bible. In the times of the Bible, Iyar, times of Chumash, is all about this week's Parsha Emor. It's all about counting up to Har Sinai. It says the Sefer Chinuch, counting up every single day. The Sfirat Omer, the whole month of Iyar, every single day we're counting up. Day 32, day 33, counting up to the receiving of the Torah. But instead of this month being a time of anticipation towards Har Sinai, it's become a time of tragedy. It's not the month of Av, which was designated as a time of tragedy since the biblical times and the sin of the spies. This was a time of elation, climbing up from Pesach all the way to Shavuot. But unfortunately, through the destruction of the temple and the fall of Beit HaMikdash, the month of Iyar has become Sfira, not Sfirat Omer, counting up to Har Sinai, but Sfira, time of mourning, but is now being redeemed, because you see, slowly the month of Iyar is being redeemed. The 18th of Iyar, Lag BaOmer, a time that the students stop dying, but not only that, in our generation, the 5th of Iyar, the time of the sovereign return in 1948, and the 28th of Iyar coming up, the time of the return to Yerushalayim. Slowly, the month is being redeemed back to its former glory in our generation. May it continue, not only 18th of Iyar, Lag BaOmer, not only the 5th and the 28th, but all of Iyar should be redeemed as more and more Jews return to the land. In Bezrat Hashem, as the land is redeemed and the sovereign return continues, Bezrat Hashem, so too does the month of Iyar return to its former glory, and the pain of exile becomes the joy of redemption. Shabbat Shalom.